This is The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Roadmap, exclusively here on ASBN.com. I'm Lee Heisman, and every week we bring you some of the brightest entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business owners who are climbing the ladder, scaling their businesses, and thinking about how one day to do the unthinkable sometimes, but the thinkable for entrepreneurs. How do they exit stage left and sell their business? Today, I have a great friend, and I was wondering, reading my introduction, some of the brightest CEOs, and I wondered, how did he get into the seat next to me? A good friend, an amazing business individual and owner, and the community leader in Georgia, John Loud.
Lee, excited to be here with you. See, I was loud enough to keep beating the table to say, when do I get to get on the show?
Exactly. And John, you don't have to beat it very loud. You're a rock star. I've joked a little bit that I could say, let me introduce John Loud, the owner of Loud Security, but also so much more to talk about. And I could simply get up and walk out of the studio, and you can provide so much content for the next 15 minutes.
So stand by. We have a 48-minute segment in front of you.
Exactly right. So John, again, almost 30 years, 28 years, you opened Loud Security. You didn't change your name. That is your actual name, of course. But talk a little bit about your business and what you do.
So shortly, the short version, I'll keep this tight, is I was a flight attendant with Delta Airlines, had never been in the alarm industry, never had a system installed in my home, never worked for another alarm company, and learned a lot about what recurring monthly revenue is all about. So I love research and started to kind of learn more about money management, insurance agency, and all different options. And as Lee mentioned, my name is John Loud, and it's been my name all my life. I didn't change Loud to be Loud Security. And yet 28 years later, started the business from scratch. And we got 60 plus employees, 11,000 plus customers. We're ranked number 69 across the United States, with a great mixture of about 50% on the residential marketplace and 50% in the commercial marketplace. So it's been a fantastic ride, building an amazing team that's been with me for many, many, many years along the way. We have a blast or a fun culture. So still have tremendous joy within my job. That's what, for me, if I didn't have that JOY within my JOB, then I'd probably be thinking differently, and I don't know that I would have survived 28 years.
Well, that's your next t-shirt. I'm a t-shirt guy, you know that. I got JOY in my JOB. That's actually the way to go. And it's true, and it's a testament to you, John, because I know your staff, I know your management team, and they've been around, they haven't left, and they're not going anywhere. So, you've grown your business over the years, and let's just jump right into M&A. And a lot of people wonder about mergers and acquisitions. You've grown your business over 28 years organically by having your own sales, but you've also grown by acquisition. Can you speak to what that means? And I don't mean by one or two acquisitions. Yeah. You've had in excess of 30, nearly 37 acquisitions. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, so, give the beginning part. I was 2 years in the business and then realized I was supposed to have a license. So I went out and got a license. I was like, oops. So I got my license in 97. And then for about 10 years, I was actually an installer. So I've worked at every aspect, from ordering and receivables and paying the bills and receiving the checks, and people would actually write checks out and send them in the mail. And I think one of the biggest challenge of folks really scaling a business, sometimes when you create this business from scratch, to birth that business, my talent, I think that God gave me, is learning when to get out of the way. So when you can allow a different salesperson or a different financial person or a different operational person, even though we're all different in their approaches, not that my way is right, and we would collaboratively work together and go through some mistakes and things of that fashion. So from 95 to literally about 2010, everything was strict organic. But to give you a great example, in the 07, 8, 9 windows, we were dealing with about 40 to 50 high-end custom builders. And as you guys can guess, yes, only one builder survived out of those 40 to 50. So you talk about a dynamic shift change. From the year 09 to 2012, it actually tripled the size of the company. And instead of going through all the builders, we went direct consumer, but that's also when we started to say, we have a tremendous asset here that's worth a lot of money, but I've never had lots of money to have a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk, because everything was leveraged within the business. But the asset of the company allowed me to go out to get a line of credit to be able to then see about whether I could pick up some other subscriber bases from some folks that have medical issues or aging issues or operational issues that say, you know what, I've tried it, I've been there, I'm done, it's time for me to move on. So it was really 2010, 2011 is the first time we started to do that. And I can tell you here, another many 10 plus years later, we've probably said no to a lot more than we've ever said yes to.
Isn't that a good position to be in, where you have done this enough and you can say no and pick and choose, kind of cherry pick the ones that you want to get?
It is, but just like anything, sometimes you have to learn in growing a business, not every customer is the right customer for you. When that maturity happens as an entrepreneur or a business owner, when you realize, especially being a sales-driven marketing type guy, that really, not all those clients are the right ones. So it's sometimes hard to be, I want to make that next sale, or put that next life safety solution together for that business or that home, and to realize that, maybe not each one is. So certainly within the M&A, we've not had a bad situation. So we're very fortunate, knocking on everything here, to know that even when you're past the year post-closing and other things, and as you go, and of course in today's marketplace, some of the richness isn't even exactly the subscriber base, it's the workforce. We all know some of that is really about the workforce as we're trying to grow and cultivate that to be able to continue.
You say some of that, almost all of that these days, right?
It really
it's harder
is.
and harder to find. So growing by acquisition, you talk about an important part of Loud Security, which I know, and it's not just words, it's actions, because I've seen it. You talk about the culture, the environment that you built, but when you acquire, again, not 3, not 7, but 37 other businesses, you're acquiring that workforce as well, and you also are acquiring that culture. Yeah. How do you meld that culture into what you've worked so hard to build?
I tell you what, we have a lot of fun at Loud Security. We even have a special code word there, which is my daughter's name, Caroline. So when we're joking around, we use Caroline's name to know that, okay, we're not playing, everything's serious. So there's fun.
Is that the loud safe word?
That's the loud kind of safe word.
Okay,
so Caroline, give me the answer and tell me what's really going on. But even an event we just recently had, and we do a lot of culture events within the company to kind of bring the team, because guess what? You've got technicians that are in the field, your sales team members that are in the field, admin and everything's back in the office. So when we have things to celebrate or have fun or just holidays, everybody in the office gets to participate in that, but not everybody in the field. So there's ways we become very focused to make sure that we're inclusive, to have the admin team and the ops team really get together, have the sales team and the ops team get together. We just had a great celebration on January 23rd, where we had National Security Technicians Day. And this is a fun one. It was the very first one this year, and it's going to be consecutive each year thereafter on a national scale. So we went and created fat heads of all of our team. And we get great Google reviews all the time of our team members. So we decided, just like, hey, think about the Super Bowl. Somebody's getting a ring of championship, somebody's the MVP, somebody's all these recognized things. So we took what you do in Boston, where I grew up, you hang the banners from the rafters in the Boston Garden. So we literally hung banners that have all the 5-star Google reviews for each one of our technicians.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we have a sampling all across that ceiling. And this year they're white, next year they'll probably be yellow or blue. So each year we're going to consecutively be able to do that. So to surprise our techs that typically show up at, let's say, 7 a.m. if they're coming in-house, that morning we had the griddles ready for all the breakfast experience, from pancakes to eggs. And so that's just one of many examples of things that when you're onboarding somebody else's, not only the customers, because that's a different approach to make them feel welcome, known, listened to. And a lot of times too, folks know, we've talked about in our advertising, my cell number's on the website under customer care.
It is.
Look,
I can attest to that. It is.
We deal with human beings and technology, and neither of which of those are perfect every day. So if there's a problem with even the size we are, I want to know, because maybe somebody's had a bad day from a child sick, or something's going on at home, or their parents aren't feeling well, or you just never know. So I just want to still be connected and in tune to be able to help and be involved. But again, I'll go back to developing a management team that's been with me 20 years, 19 years, and 16 years. To give examples, out of our 28, it's incredible because they're remarkable, which allows me to have the flexibility and focus on growth in other ways.
Well, John, that actually, boy, we don't really have a script here, but that was almost scripted, because my next question was, you're known for your company, and we're going to get into a little bit of your acquisitions, but what you're really known for is all the stuff that doesn't relate to your company. You've been the chairman of the Cobb Chamber of Commerce. I think the Cobb Chamber, just to toot your own horn, is one of the largest in the country. But you're involved in so many other activities that are giving back to the community. There's no direct benefit to you, but I know there's tons of indirect. But if it wasn't for that team, you couldn't do that. Could you elaborate on all, you don't say maybe all, we don't have the time for that, but some of the big ones that mean a lot to you?
I think what really happens is my management team reaches out to some of those leaders from the Chamber of Commerce or to our national, and they call them and say, can you give John an assignment and let him get out of the way? Because there's sometimes a different energy and fun. Like right now I have the honor to serve as chairman of the board of our National Electronic Security Association, that's ESA. So you're right, just after I have the honor of doing the chamber for 2 years, now working on the national level across the nation, but still in tune. It's just no matter where I'm at, look, my phone works, my tablet works, my computer works, so you're still able to communicate and work with everybody. But there's sometimes, like I'm not afraid of mistakes. I don't mind somebody having a problem or an issue. Sometimes it gives us an opportunity to show that behind that, what that salesperson may have shared with them or that system designer may have, you've got these people that if something's off someday, we're going to be there to take care of you. And you're right, I get to do those. I have passion and joy to help in the community. And you're right, I'm never looking out to go, what's my ROI and what that does for Loud. As you can imagine, I love connecting people. And as I've connected people, when they've thought about security, we're obviously become an option of consideration in some ways. So it's a great win.
An option of consideration. Again, I'll attest to this, and for viewers out there, everything this man does, he is never looking for something in return. And that's the way you grow not only your C-level position, I'll say to the entrepreneurs out there, the people that want to be entrepreneurs or even entrepreneurs, give back, you get 10x in return. So let's talk about the return a little bit. Let's talk about acquiring 37 businesses. Let's talk a little bit about, do you recommend an exit consultant? And I'm not saying this because of ESL, but consider, I know when I'm working with PE and I'm working with clients that are trying to sell their businesses, I'm really the middleman, not just representing the client, but I'm trying to represent the deal and help people stay in a frame of rationality through the whole process, both sides. You mentioned sometimes when you're working through a third party or you're working directly, what are the two big things that you might recommend for listeners and viewers?
I'm going to go broader with that for a minute. So you got to remember the ABCs, right? Your attorney, your banker, and your CPA, right? Absolutely vital pieces. And from the day I started my business, I've always known I'm going to sell that someday. Right? So I've always been thinking, what's that exit? Did not know whether my children would or would not want to be involved in it. So I've always built it so by going to conferences or Insight, or for me, as a flight attendant with Delta, I didn't know how this worked, right? So I talk a lot about R&D. And it's not research and development, and in my world it's called rip off and duplicate, where you get out in the marketplace and you listen and learn to others that are in this marketplace but across the nation with very similar challenges along the way. So it's like there's no better day to start to think or plan on an exit than absolutely today. Because you need to start to look at your financials differently. You got to look at it from, and whether it's bringing in the CPA partner, bringing in an expert that can kind of guide you as to what the marketplace looks for, I cannot encourage you enough. So Lee, to give you specifics for us, when we've done purchases, sometimes their brokers are involved and sometimes they're not. So I love when their brokers are involved because they're going to help them clean and organize and get the information ready. Because look, a seller has been so focused on running their business, managing their team, building the culture, and having the engagement they do to kind of stay above water, if you will. Go through a pandemic, go through all the different challenges and economic things. So they're not in that every day. So having that consultant along you to get you ready is vital. We've had sellers come to us as the buyer that don't have those folks. So guess what? They're saving money by not having a broker fee. But I will assure you, we typically pay less for them because we've now got to go invest a lot more time to kind of clean that up and work on all that. And as you know, we've started businesses, many of you that are listening out there, you've started your own business like I have. And you don't want anybody to tell you your baby may not be as pretty as you think it is. And as a buyer, I don't want to have to be that person. And it doesn't matter what our widgets are, right? I'm just, from the security standpoint, I tell you there's an analogy of what your widget is different because we feel what you've worked so hard for is worth a lot. Sometimes a broker or a consultant that's in the middle can kind of guide you as to what the marketplace looks at because they're talking about a multitude of industries, experiences, processes, which can be so beneficial. So my guidance to you as a buyer, I'm happy to have a consultant involved or happy not to. But just know, sometimes not having one, the process can be more painful because they're going to go under every nail and every slip of paper to figure out, to make sure what they're going to invest hundreds of thousands, if not millions and multi-millions in to actually have a bank finance it too. The insight is so critical. So I would definitely guide you to have that conversation, get the guidance because the process will be better. The consultant will guide you through what you've got to do, prepare, which is some work, which is why you should definitely be starting not a couple weeks before, but the sooner the better to get the best maximization of what the value of what you've worked so hard for.
Well, you know, and that's why we started ESL. And again, for viewers out there, I've done it myself and sold businesses without any type of consulting or guidance. Twofold. the market and your business is worth whatever the market's willing to pay. There's no set number on it. But number two, when you're not using someone, the professional, you get very emotional. And the reality is, forget the value going down, even getting the deal done may be that much harder. That's why you have a lawyer, an accountant, a CPA. So that's why some people even have therapists, because they need that guidance on the outside.
And we've gotten close to finishing some deals, and then the seller never spent the time to talk to a CPA firm to understand what the tax consequences are. And I'm not a CPA, but sometimes, and now we try to guide them to early on to go have that insight conversation, because if we've gotten close to a closing and then all of a sudden they realize the taxes are going to pay down the road, well, now all of a sudden the number's not enough and they've got to go back to work. So by doing that due diligence and those working steps and getting those relationships that you have those trusted partners is vital, absolutely vital.
So John, our time is flying by. We usually ask people at the end of this show, what is the one piece of advice you give to a business owner that would consider selling their business, but you're not there yet for yourself? So I want to lean into, what is the one piece of advice you would give to an individual that's looking to grow the way you did, not only organically, but by acquisition? What would you recommend when they're looking to buy other companies?
When they're looking to buy, I mean, because you had a few questions in there, so which one?
It's John Loud. I can throw a billion
to
things
me,
at you.
it's
Can juggle
certainly
everything.
building that culture and strength, because even when you're looking to sell someday, when somebody's looking to buy you and what that infrastructure and team, because even though my name's on the door, I need that thing to be far bigger and greater so that if I get run over by a bus, they're all rock solid and good to go. That's a valuable piece of it all. But I would encourage you, because just like for me, I was never looking to acquire. When somebody started to share the idea with me and I started to explore within my industry and how that works, because you have a great value in what your business is worth today, but how can you leverage that a little bit further to kind of help expand your growth and your benefits? Because then when you get to go sell, guess what? You're going to be worth even more. Now, there is the process of onboarding and kind of putting it together, but that's where the consultants and others will kind of help you learn what that process and help you prepare to do that. So even if you're not ready to sell today, it may be that now's the time to look to be a potential buyer too. So either which way, there's some work. It's just, look, we grow 4 ways: commercially, residentially, acquisition, and then builder work. So we have builder new construction. So we do look for the right type of matches for our culture, our customer base, the type of service levels we do. So somebody may be a little different than our subscriber base.
Sure.
And if we're not going to have the right technicians at customer care, we know that doesn't make sense. So that's why not every particular person within your industry is going to be that right match. But that sometimes is one of those, you got to get within your hedgehog, if you will, from Jim Collins, to understand who and what you are, so that when you're looking at opportunities, you go, this makes sense. If it stretches you too far, whether it's distance or technology or team, because sometimes we've bought books of business that have had no staff coming with it. It's somebody that's retired or a family member passed and they were running it, and now these other family members are trying to do something with that asset. So there's unique opportunities, but it's definitely a way I would encourage you to consider to look at growing your business also.
So John, people getting in touch with you, not just for Loud, but also for you. Again, just your expertise, all the organizations you're part of. What's the best way to people to get in touch with you, your organizations, and also you personally?
So I guess 3 parts easy. One is anything Loud Security. I'm happy to take a call, but our phone number is 678-GET-LOUD. So nice and easy, 678-GET-LOUD. My cell number is 678-300-9785. Again, it's on the website under customer care, 678-300-9785. Or my email, john@loudsecurity.com. So I've always so many folks have helped and guided me throughout the years. So love to mentor and talk and guide some others along the way to help them go through the different challenges. That's where that R&D, rip off and duplicate, because we all don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's incredible talents and supports that are out there. And everybody's willing to have some calls and give you some guidance and connect some folks to make it best and utmost successful for you.
No, John, thank you for coming on the show so much. And like I said, there's no question, I could have simply got up, walked out the door, and let John roll, because I listen to him every time wherever he speaks. Make sure you find him, find where he's leading another group in the community. And guys, listen, for John Loud, for Lee Heisman here, thank you so much for watching The Roadmap, brought to you from ASBN.com. And tune in next week for another episode.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Lee Heisman. This has been a JBF Business Media production.